Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be looking at dividing polynomials, but using long division and synthetic division. Last time we talked about dividing polynomials by factoring, and today we're going to be looking at long division and synthetic division. And you might be familiar with long division. We would use it, when dividing numbers in elementary, but today we're going to learn synthetic division as well. So that synthetic is a new one that we're going to be talking about today. All right, so let's go down here and talk a little bit about long division. And so let me zoom out a little bit over here. Okay, so in elementary, when you did arithmetic and you did long division, let's say you were going to divide 4,811 divided by 17. You would say, okay, 17 can't go into 4, but 17 can go into 48 2 times. So then you would multiply 2 times 17, which would give me 34, and then you would subtract 48 with 34. And then that gives you 14. Then you would bring this 1 down and then ask yourself, how many times can 17 go into 141? You would say, well, 17 can go in 8 times. 8 times 17 is 136. Then you would subtract these two, and that would give you 5. Then you bring down this last one, and then you would ask yourself, okay, how many times can 17 go into 51? You'd say, 3 times. 3 times 17 is 51. You subtract and you get 0. So we're going to do something similar that we did, with arithmetic. In arithmetic, we call this long division. But now when we're dealing with dividing polynomials, algebraically, right? Dealing with dividing polynomials, we can do synthetic division. And it's kind of the same idea, but we're only going to be focusing on the leading term here that's being divided. So I know I have x plus 2, but I'm just focusing on the x, and I'm asking myself, how many times can x go into x to the power of 3? Well, what happens if I divide these two? Let's kind of look at that. So if I look at x and x cubed, if I divide those two, what's x cubed divided by x? It's x squared, right? So that x squared, this x squared goes here. And so what do? We're going to multiply x squared with x and x squared with 2. What's x squared times x? It's x to the third. X squared times x is x to the third. What's x squared times 2? That's 2x squared. Then what do? We usually subtract, right? So we're going to subtract. What's x to the third minus x to the third? 0. What's negative 2x minus 2? Negative 4. And then we go through the same route again. We say, can I divide negative 4x squared, can I divide it by x? What's negative 4x squared divided by x? Well, that's negative 4x. It's negative 4x, which is this one here. So we're going to follow kind of this process here for long division. I know there's a lot that I'm writing in here, but the main steps that we want to focus on for long division is the following. Let me zoom out a little bit. We're going to divide. We divided x cubed divided by x and got x squared on top. Then after we got this top number, we're going to multiply this top number into x and x. Multiply by x and by 2. That gives us these two here. Then we subtract. That's step number 3. Subtract these. Then we bring down the negative 3x. And then repeat. Do the process again. So let's go ahead and jump into the first example. And notice how it's written, right? So it's written a certain way, but we got to write it in the long division format. So let me go ahead and move this up here. Okay, so if I write it in division format, it's x minus 2, and then it's 2x cubed minus 8x squared plus 9x minus 2, and then draw the division line. Okay. So what we're going to do first is look at this term here, and actually let me highlight instead. So let me erase this. And so we're going to highlight. And so I'm going to take this term here and this term and divide. So it's going to be, 2x to the third divided by x. That's going to equal 2x squared. Okay. So that result's going to go here. I'm going to use a different color. So this result is going to go here. So that's going to be 2x squared. Okay, then we got to multiply 2x squared. All right, so remember this came from the blue and the blue. So we divided the two blue parts, which gave us this red part we put on top. Then we multiply 2x squared with x. So 2x squared times x is going to be 2x to the third. And then 2x squared times negative 2 is negative 4x squared. Then we're going to subtract. But we're subtracting, this group. So usually what I like to do is, since the negative is outside, just change the sign of the terms. So let me write it this way instead. X squared 2. So you see how I had 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. It was positive, so what I want to do is just change the sign. So when I'm subtracting, it's going to change this sign and this sign. So this changed from a positive to a negative and a negative to a positive. So now let's just subtract 2x cubed minus 2x cubed. It's going to cancel. Then what's negative 8 plus 4? It's negative 4x squared because they're like terms. And then we're going to bring this down. So plus 9x comes down. Then we do the process again, but this time we're going to take this item and divide it with x. So what's negative 4x squared divided by x? So this divided by this equals negative 4x. Negative 4x. So this negative 4x is going to go up here in this space. So it's negative 4x. Okay. And so now we're not going to multiply the red part out. We're going to multiply the purple. So negative 4 is going to multiply with x, and negative 4 is going to multiply with negative 2. So what's negative 4 times x? It's negative 4x squared. What's negative 4? What's negative 4x times negative 2? Negative 4x times negative 2. Negative times a negative is positive 8x. Then we're going to subtract. Subtract. So again, what does the subtraction do to the signs, right? It changes, it's going to change this positive. It's going to change this negative to a positive, and it's going to change this positive to a negative. So let's change them. Oh, sorry, not shade them. Change them. So this is going to change to a positive, and this is going to change to, in front of the 8x, it's going to change to a negative. I'm sorry guys, my writing tools are lagging. It's positive, negative, positive. Okay. Okay. So then what's going to happen here, right? We have negative 4 plus 4. These are going to cancel. Then we're doing 9 minus 8x. It's x. Then we're going to bring down the negative 2. Let me zoom out here. Okay. And so the process begins again. We're going to divide x by x. What's x divided by x? One, right? Plus positive 1. So the positive 1 goes up here. Right, x divided by x is 1. Then what are we going to do with the 1, right? We're going to multiply. So we're no longer looking at multiplying this out. We're going to multiply the 1 out. So what's 1 times x? That's x, going to write it down here. What's 1 times negative 2? Negative 2. Subtract. Zero. It's 0. All right, so my answer ends up being the part on top. This part up here. So my answer is 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. Okay. So let's try another one. Example 2. So I'm going to rewrite it. It's going to be, zoom in, x plus 4, x to the 4th minus 17, x squared plus 15. Okay, so we're going to divide x with x to the 4th. X to the 4th divided by x is x to the 3rd. So then we're going to multiply this out. So what's x to the 3rd times x? It's x to the 4th. What's x to the 3rd times 4? It's positive 4x to the 3rd. We're going to subtract. So the subtraction is going to change the positive 4x to the 4th to a negative, and this one's going to change to a negative. Right? So we're going to have negative, negative. Okay, so x to the 4th and negative x to the 4th are going to cancel. Can I add negative 17 and negative 4? Well, it's x squared and x to the power 3. These two can't combine because they're not like terms. So what we're going to do is just bring them down. So I'm going to bring down 4x to the 3rd. I'm going to bring down negative 17 x squared, because I can't combine them. So I'm just going to bring them all down. So what's the next thing I'm going to do, right? I'm going to divide this one with x. What's negative 4x to the 3rd divided by x? That's negative 4x squared. So I'm going to multiply. What's negative 4x squared times x? That's negative 4x to the 3rd. Then what's negative 4x squared times 4? That's negative 16x squared. We're going to subtract. So subtracting changes the signs of these numbers. So instead of being two negatives, they're going to be two positives. So what's negative 4 plus 4? You're going to cancel. What's negative 17 plus 16? It's negative 1x squared. Then bring down so we're going to bring down the plus 15 over here. And then we're going to divide negative x squared divided by x. Negative x squared divided by x. So negative divided by positive is a negative, and x squared divided by x is x. So it's negative x. So we're going to multiply. What's negative x times x? It's negative 1x squared. Then what's negative x times 4? It's negative 4x. We're going to subtract, so that's going to change these negatives into pluses. These are going to cancel. I can't combine 15 and 4x, so I'm just going to bring it down. Just write 4x plus 15. Then I'm going to divide 4x divided by x. 4x divided by x. 4x divided by x is 4x divided by x is positive 4. So we multiply 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 4 is 16. We're going to subtract, so that's going to change the positive 4x to a negative, and it's going to change this positive 16 to a negative. So these are going to cancel. What's 15 minus 16? That's negative 1. So negative 1 is my remainder. Negative 1 is my remainder. But when we write it as an equation, we're going to put the negative 1 up here after the plus 4 and divide the negative 1 by the x plus 4 that's right here. And so my final answer is all of this. So my final answer is all this right here. So x to the third minus 4x squared minus x plus 4, and then negative 1 because of the remainder, divided by x plus 4, which is this part here. Okay, so I mean, these are just two examples on long division. We're going to be doing a lot more just to get practice. And long division is just something that just requires more practice to kind of get familiar with the steps. And once you get familiar with the steps, it'll be faster and faster in the process. Okay, so let's move on to the last, not the last, but the second part of the division lesson today. It's using synthetic division. I personally like this one better than long division. You can use either one to get you to the same solution. But let's look at it. It's called synthetic division. Let me see. Zoom in a little bit. Actually, that's a good view. Okay. So synthetic division is a shorthand method of dividing a polynomial by a linear binomial. So poly means many. So if you see here this expression that I'm hovering over, this is a polynomial, and it's being divided by a binomial. Binomial means two terms, an expression of two terms. And it's a shorthand method, meaning it's a quicker method to write down and get to the solution, because you're only using the coefficients. what does coefficients mean, right? So coefficients, different colors. So coefficients here, that means the number in front of the variable. The number in front of the variables. So for example, what's the number in front of x to the third if it's not written? Right, we usually say that there's a 1 here. Then there's a number in front of x squared, that's 5. So the coefficient of x squared is 5. The coefficient of x is negative 21. And then the constant is negative 8. So the coefficient of x to the third is 1. The coefficient of x squared is 5, and so on. So coefficient is just a term that means the number in front of the variable. For synthetic division to work, the polynomial must be written in standard form. So again, standard form means from greatest exponent to smallest. So again, in order for the division method to work, you need to make sure that the expression is written in standard form, from largest exponent, and then it goes decreasing. And then you're going to use 0 as a coefficient for any missing terms. And the divisor must be in the form x minus a. Okay, so I'm going to show you in the second example for synthetic division what it means by using 0. Okay, so in this example, I have this expression, and it says take the coefficients of your dividend. The dividend is what you're dividing into. So the coefficient of x to the third, again, if it's not written, there's a 1 here, right? So I have 1, positive 5, negative 21, negative 8. And so we take these coefficients and we write them down. So it's 1, 5, negative 21, negative 8. Then it says place the divisor in front. So it's being divided by x minus 3. So what you want to do is you want to take the divisor, what you're dividing by, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. So x equals 3 in this case. So you take this value and you put it over here in front of the first coefficient. Then this is where the fun begins. So you bring down the first term, it's 1. Then you multiply 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. Then you add. What's 5 plus 3? 8. Then you multiply. What's 8 times 3? What's 8 times 3? That's 24. Then you add the negative 21 that was there plus the 24. That's positive 3. Then what's 3 times 3? What's 3 times 3? That's 9. Negative 8 plus 9 is 1. And then with the numbers that you get, the 1, 8, 3, and the 1, you're going to write an expression where you're dividing, right? You're dividing x to the power 3 divided by x. So that's going to reduce the power of the answer. So if you started off with x to the power 3, the numbers that you get here are going to start off with x squared. X to the power 2. So it's going to be x squared plus 8x plus 3. And this one here is the remainder. Okay, so you do 1x squared, 8x plus 3. Now, we're going to do examples 1 and 2, but using synthetic division. But notice, if I zoom out, right? Let's see, what do I see if I zoom out? Or what do I want you to see? So if I zoom out, do you notice how example 1 over here is the same over here? 2x to the third minus 8x squared plus 9x minus 2. 2x to the third minus 8x squared plus 9x minus 2. Then you're dividing by x minus 2, dividing by x minus 2. So this example 1 is the same example 1 over here. This example 2 is the same example 2 over here. So we're going to see, we want to see that we're going to get the same answer using two different methods. Okay? So that's the whole point of this example, is to kind of do the same problem but using a different method. Just to see, is it true? Can we get the same answer? And then you can choose which method you prefer. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get the coefficients of the terms and make sure that it's in order from largest exponent to smallest. So I have power of 3, power of 2, power of 1, and no power, right? So I'm going to copy the numbers in front of the variables. So 2, negative 8, positive 9, and negative 2. 2, negative 8, positive 9, negative 2. Just copied it. Then I'm going to set up the synthetic division box. Next, I'm going to take the divisor. I'm going to take what I'm dividing by here, and I'm going to bring it over here and set it equal to 0. Solve for x. So add 2, x equals 2. So I'm going to take the 2 that I got, put it over here. Okay, so now let's begin the synthetic division. The rule is you bring down the first number, so 2. Then you multiply. What's 2 times 2? That's 4. So 2 times 2 is 4. And you write the result underneath the next number. And then we're going to add. What's negative 8 plus 4? That's negative 4. Then multiply. What's 2 times negative 4? 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So we add. What's 9 plus negative 8? That's positive 1. Then we multiply. 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So I put that under the next number. Then we add. What's negative 2 plus 2? 0. So this last part is my remainder. So I have a remainder of 0. So what do I do with these numbers? The 2, the negative 4, and the 1. Well, these are going to be the coefficients of my answer. But notice we started with a power of 3, and then I divided by x. What's x to the power of 3 divided by x? What's x to the power of 3 divided by x? That's x squared. So the 2 is going to be the coefficient of x squared. Then once we got squared, what's the next power down? x to the power 2, and then if you go down 1 power, it's going to be x to the power of 1, and then positive 1. So this is my answer. Does it match my answer that I got when I used long division? Match my answer. So I got 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. I got 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. Yeah, I got the same answer. So now let's try it one more time. We're going to try example 2. Okay. So be careful with this one, right? What's the number in front of x to the 4th? It's 1. So I'm going to do an extra step here, okay? So I'm going to write the equation again here. So it's 1, let me write it a little bit smaller. So 1x to the 4th. Then my question is, do I have a term that's x to the power of 3? Do I have x to the power of 3 here? No, right? So I'm going to say that there's 0 x to the power of 3. Then I have negative 17x squared. So I have x to the power of 4, 1x to the power of 4, 0 x to the power of 3. There's nothing with x to the power of 3, so I'm going to say that there's 0. Then I got, what's after the power of 3? It's the power of 2. Do I have anything with the power of 2? Yes, negative 17x to the power of 2. Then what's below that? What's after the power of 2? X to the power of 1. Do I have anything in the equation that's to the power of 1? No. So I have 0 x to the power of 1. And then the last number is 15. That's the number without an x, so it's going to be plus 15. Divided by x plus 4. Okay, now let's write the coefficients. So I have 1, I have 0, I have negative 17, I have 0, I have positive 15. Then what do? I take this term here, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. So minus 4 minus 4, x equals negative 4. So negative 4. Okay, so the first step is bring down the first term. So bring down the 1. Multiply. What's negative 4 times 1? It's negative 4. What's 0 plus negative 4? It's negative 4. What's negative 4 times negative 4? That's positive 16. What's negative 17 plus 16? That's negative 1. What's negative 4 times negative 1? That's 4. What's 0 plus 4? That's 4. And then what's 4 times negative 4? That's negative 16. And then what's 15 plus negative 16? It's negative 1. So this last result is my remainder. So I started off with x to the power 4, but my answer is going to start off with 1 power less. So what's 4 minus 1? It's x to the power of 3. Then what's below x to the power of 3? That's x to the power of 2. Then x to the power of 1, and then no x. Right? So again, I started off with the power of 4, but when I'm dividing by x, it lowers the power to 3. Then I'm going to keep going down by powers. So 3, 2, 1, and then no x. And then this remainder here that I boxed is going to be divided by the x plus 4 that we started with over here. So this is my answer. So let's compare again. Let me zoom out so we can see both example 2s. Okay, so let's see. I got x to the power 3 minus 4x squared minus x plus 4 minus 1 divided by x plus 4. Does it match what I got over here? X to the power 3, x to the power 3. Negative 4x squared, negative 4x squared. Negative x, positive 4, negative 1 over x plus 4, negative 1 over x plus 4. Okay. So I got the same answers 2 different ways, right? So this is where you can say, which one do you prefer? But on a test, I might ask you to solve it using long division or synthetic division. So we should be able to know both. But if I don't ask you for a specific method, then you can choose which one you prefer. But thank you for joining me today. We'll be going over this, any questions that you may have on this next class. But have a great rest of your day.